This video is sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends.
And on this day, the man, the legend, Kratos, will have his revenge.
Normally, it's the man, the myth, the legend. But unfortunately for the Greeks, Kratos is no myth. In case you need a beautifully rendered reminder of the key events that happened in the past two games, here you go. And straight into the main menu like it was nothing. A crazy, amazing presentation to end our trilogy, Santa Monica. And keeping in line with the last two games, we get to see Kratos in all his glorious anger in this main menu.
My vengeance ends now.
Who wasn't ready to freak out and scream when they played this back in 2010? Only 3 years ago did we play God of War to cap off the PS2 era, and not even halfway through the PS3 era, we got one of the defining games of the generation. Now, it isn't only Kratos to be slaying gods or dragons, or starting from the bottom of the arena to only come back stronger in the end to win when you play Raid Shadow Legends. Be sure to use the links down below to download Raid on PC or mobile. I know you've heard of this game, but what you don't know is what I like about Raid. And that'd be the fun of champ summonings. You find these little shards that you smash open like Kratos does to anyone that said hi to him this morning, and out comes a whole living being ready to do your bidding. If only making friends were this easy. You pop open these Kyber Crystal Tamagotchis and out comes your new army ready to use in PvP or PvE. Raid doesn't discriminate and lets you be social or left alone. Now, if this wasn't enough for you, Raid just released their Doom Tower update, which brings in 2 new bosses, Astronyx Darkfey and Bomb of the Dreadhorde, alongside new balance on tower floors and super secret sneaky rooms that houses new items for you to find all on your own. Also, dungeons introduce super raids, which doubles rewards and is perfect for those that feel they don't have time to play Raid, or the ones that feel it's too late to get into the game. As Kratos has shown us many times, it's never too late to start putting the beat down on monsters and in the arena. If you want to get a huge head start in Raid, all you have to do is hit the link in the description or scan my QR code and you'll get the epic hero Chinaro, who is amazing in the Doom Tower, 200,000 silver, 1 XP boost, an energy refill, and an ancient shard, so you can summon an awesome new champion as soon as you get into the game. All this treasure will be waiting for you here. Be quick because this offer is only for 30 days and new players. It's that easy. Just click the links down below and I'll see you in the game. Now, let's get back to the Greeks.
Our mountain emerged out of the chaos.
You know, the end of this game presents itself much more bleak than it really is. And right at the start, we are told that the chaos of war doesn't mean the end of all things, but beginning of something new. For all its gore, power fantasies, and sex minigames, this story is really about hope and forgiveness in the end, as Pandora smashes over our head with later. But I can forgive the lack of subtlety for the absolute masterpiece of a game this is.
To the might of the Olympians.
Perfect. While Zeus is circle jerking with his fellow Olympians, Willem is reminding us these guys are a joke.
Olympus will prevail!
I know it's a pre-rendered cutscene, but that doesn't take away the magnitude of the one-shot take. We went from the realm of Hades all the way to the top of Mount Olympus in one shot. That's still so freaking cool. And see, Santa Monica always wanted to do one-shot takes. How awesome that God of War 2 CGI cutscene was recreated using pre-rendered in-engine footage. And thank you, Santa Monica, for showing us our Deadpool for this game. But with a man like Kratos in the scene, there are no predictions on who will die. The answer is just yes. You know, the angle almost looks like he missed the top of the columns. There was probably a helicopter there. Alright everyone, I got a ruin for you. Oh, devil's pot of tea. Oh, devil's pot of tea. But also, Kratos gets his theme before he even shows up. That's how badass he is. I'm playing the remaster, but I will still be talking about the game from the PS3 perspective and how incredible it was then. We aren't even pre-rendered here, and God of War 2, Gaia was pretty much impossible to do, was only around for cutscenes. Now, we are riding her into battle and fighting on her. Since I suck and have a tendency to go backwards through franchises on this channel, there's a quick spoiler for God of War 18. Just skip ahead 10 seconds and you'll be fine. Coming back to 3 after using the Blades of Chaos at God of War 4, I'm even more impressed with how Santa Monica were able to preserve the combos with the camera shift. Is this a win for God of War 3? Not exactly, but one for Santa Monica. And for the boo-hooers that complain God of War is not that great compared to other games in the genre, I just gotta say, who cares? God of War is still a blast to play, and the games have always been pushing what's possible with technology to its absolute limits. God of War 3 came halfway through the PS3 era, and it remains among the best-looking games on the console. We aren't really shown the full extent of the powers that each Olympian holds in previous titles, but the end of the trilogy is no time to stand on ceremony, and we're treated to this ginormous boss battle with one of the big three right from the start. Something that not many other games still can match God of War 3 on is its sense of scale. Never before God of War 3 had we really seen a game this gorgeous and this big. Santa Monica knew this would be the end of their trilogy and held nothing back with what they wanted. Ah yes, our first QTE, that God of War most definitely had a hand in for the mechanics infinite. But 3 leveled them up a bit with the stylized button prompts and having them on the edge of the screen that correspond with their location on the controller, which fixes the big problem found with QTEs, not being able to watch the amazingly animated action because you're having to pay attention to the prompts. All fixed up here. So this is Kratos at the height of his brutality. Shaun, can we get a brutal counter for Kratos? And speaking of leveling up, Kratos' strength is on full display now. He can open normal chests with one hand now. It's the little things like this that make sequels so great. We are just this tiny little ant among these gods and titans. It's just so gratifying to watch the war rage around us while we're just casually climbing. This one hole that Poseidon makes is possibly the sole reason we're able to kill Zeus and Gaia at the end. Since, you know, it's the hole we jump through to escape being crushed. Poseidon secretly is Severus Snape. Hey look, it's the guy that brought upon the fall of Olympus. Kratos has been here for a while. This is Poseidon getting payback for all the fish we've caught with hooks. Quick reminder of how terrifying Kratos must actually be. The mountain would like to know your location. And pretty cool that we gotta use our thumbs just like Kratos. God of War 3 is just a hit list of all the gods that get in the way of Kratos killing Zeus. Having Kratos kill one of the big three as the opener to your game is a great way to set our expectations for what is to come. You know, I was really hoping for a little bloop, but this will do. And I'm not surprised it didn't make that cute little sound because this game came before Bathos really started to take over in storytelling. Bathos is basically anticlimax, an undercut of the tone and emotional weight, for a punchline that leaves us not feeling so heavy about what just happened. Think almost every Marvel Studios joke ever. So now we know that with each god that dies, their domain descends into chaos. Even with that new information, just like Walter White, I'm still on Kratos' side. Good job, Santa Monica.
The Sisters of Fate could not hold me, and you will not see the end of this day. I will have my revenge!
Yep. You're telling me the gods thought Percy Jackson stole that?
Serve the Titans!
Do not deny me my revenge!
God, who doesn't love T.C. Carson's Kratos? He's just amazing, and a big reason behind why Kratos is so beloved. I'm sad to hear that Santa Monica dropped him like he didn't do 7 whole games with him prior. Christopher Judge is amazing, but I would have loved to see Carson's take on the calmer, more mature Kratos in 4.
Listen carefully, Kratos. You were a simple pawn, nothing more. Zeus is no longer your concern.
You know, that's some rich talk considering Kratos pretty much had already killed Zeus if not for Athena, and you've already lost one war with an entire army at your back. But I'll say that Gaia's got some stones to talk to the god of war like that.
Release. I will defeat Olympus. I will have my revenge.
Kratos at this point is only living out of spite, and I can't help but love to see it. That's a level of petty that I aspire to be. And for another game, Kratos heads to Hades and has to fight his way out. At this point, I'd be concerned if we have a God of War game where he doesn't end up going to hell in some fashion. And I gotta say, I love what you've done with the place, Hades.
I don't.
My sacrifice to save Zeus has brought me to a higher existence.
You're in the realm of the dead. Why are you so surprised? We knew Kratos cared for her, but to see him so shocked seeing her in a place she should be makes that even more clear. Also, this is still fresh. Like, Kratos killed her not even like 10 minutes ago.
Appearances can be deceiving, Kratos.
So can the children of Olympus.
This is some fun foreshadowing to the end of the game where she used Kratos to get her power back, and Kratos did a little fake-out slash and killed himself. And call me stupid, but I just realized these two are half-siblings, right? Both their fathers is Zeus. A great pair considering Athena is sometimes recounted as the goddess of war. Y'all remember Shark Boy and Lava? Athena floating away like this totally reminds me of Tobor going, "I'm free."
Call forth the spirits of your exiled Spartan brothers.
Love that now Kratos has no allies left among gods and Titan. His magic is the one thing that will never leave him. I always get a kick out of finding the areas hidden by the fixed camera, which is a perfect segue to talk about it. The fixed camera isn't always perfect and a lot of people hate it, but for one, it's probably a big reason this game looks as good as it did when it came out. They got to choose exactly what the console is streaming at all times, and also, not having to fight a camera and just think about fighting as a luxury we never get to have anymore.
No! Help!
Well, we killed his best friend Theseus, so it's only fitting we cover all our bases. And Kratos is doing him a favor by releasing him from his torment. It's a common thing for him. Since he's so trapped in his own, he's constantly helping others. Prometheus, Mimir, an argument can be made for the Hydra Key guy. Kratos is a solid dude. And on the theme of Kratos giving those which he cannot give himself, this song is a beautiful representation of that. As the note says, the voice sings of pain and loss. But when it sings of hope is when I feel true anguish at something I can never have. Notice that this motif comes up many times even after Kratos has left the underworld. The new upgrade chest gets a sexy facelift, along with Kratos having to use both hands for these. It's the little things. Whatever happened to trusting the gamer to not be an idiot? These climby bits don't have some totally stupid yellow or white paint all over it to guide us. We're smarter than Debs give us credit for recently, and it was nice to see this. Not a jab at God of War 4 because I know there's a reason for all the paint. A classic brutal kill.
But I know who you are.
You know of me?
They said you would come.
What the Kratos. Who the heck doesn't know you? Points to being humble, though. Even though the realm of Hades changes every game, this feels like a little callback to its version in God of War 2.
I seek the flame of Olympus. Do you know of it?
For what purpose, Spartan?
For the purpose I have chosen. Now tell me, do you know of the flame?
Perfect response. I've got to start using that when people question my actions.
You have been truly helpful, Hephaestus.
Not so subtle foreshadowing that Kratos and Olympus will be the death of Pandora.
The quest for freedom is also a heavy burden.
You would know it only took you 6 games to be free. I've always liked that Cerberus is a beast race rather than one 3-headed creature in God of War. It gives Santa Monica more to play with.
And I have not forgotten that it was you who butchered my beautiful queen.
For those that didn't play Chains of Olympus, this is a fun line to remind us Kratos exists outside of the narratives we see. For those who have, a fun nod to the past. Of course, he'd won vengeance too. And our second main boss is the other one of the big 3. How rad. These are the type of boss fights we were sorely missing in God of War. I know it's because of budget and time constraints, but damn are the 1s and 3s some of the best in the franchise.
Ironic.
Understand this, Athena. Zeus will die.
There's something to be said about constantly speaking your goals into existence. Take this channel, for example. I constantly told everyone around me that it'd work, and now look at us. You've got this amazing community of people that just want to love video games together.
Do I mean nothing to you?
You were a means to an end, Gaia. Nothing more.
Haha, you feel stupid now, don't you, Gaia? Imagine being such a B-list god that you're rendered down to a QTE. Not all gods are super powerful. Awesome, I guess. I don't mind a minigame to break up the flow of just constantly fighting. The gameplay is great, but the breaks like this are needed to keep things from getting stale. Kratos wasn't even worried about Persis, but Persis wanted to have that problem and Kratos kills him like flicking a bug off his shoulder and it just carries on like nothing. Badass. Changing the labyrinth from a maze to this blocked death puzzle is one of the many reasons that adaptation that doesn't strictly stick to the source material is wonderful. If we wanted the OG, then we'd go read those stories. But Santa Monica is constantly giving us new interpretations of these myths in some regards, while also being amazingly faithful in the other. They find this great balancing act in their God of War games.
Catch a fly from the ass of Zeus is not worth my time.
Kill any family members lately?
Well, if we're talking only lately, that'd be Athena, kinda. Poseidon, definitely. Hades, wearing his soul as a blanket. Gaia, maybe? Not so lately, we got Ares, Perseus, Persephone, Lysandra, Calliope, and Callisto. Future tense? Zeus, definitely Gaia. Hephaestus, Hercules, Hera, Kronos, and you. There's only 2 members of Kratos' family that he hasn't killed prior to God of War 4, and it's Rhea and Deimos. So, I didn't realize that Kratos pretty much hacked down his entire family tree throughout these games.
Zeus. Won't happen, can't happen.
Adrian Barbeau voices a wonderfully annoying and quite killable Hermes. This climb is just utterly ridiculous, and our man Kratos doesn't even get winded. I get wind time sometimes just because I suck at breathing. Asthma.
Pandora's box.
This cutaway makes me believe that this is how Kratos imagines things.
You may have brute force, but you lack speed.
Do they not tell the tortoise and the hare story in Greece? Yeah, I guess they tell the story of Kratos and Hermes. God damn it, Kratos, hasn't Athena been through enough? It's nice that each of the god boss battles aren't just a big punch-up between Kratos and them. Helios was just a little mini-game, Hermes here is a platformer, Hera's just a cutscene. The variety's nice. So, with the death of Hermes, what, is no one gonna get the mail in time? I mean, I never do anyway, so Greece should be uninfected. Fly off the ass of Zeus. And the fixed camera gives us fun angles like these that we'd otherwise never have. The God of War theme is the access song to the flame of Olympus. The flame is the absolute power that formed the gods. Is this representation of these gods being born of war and Kratos being inevitable?
You look terrible, dear. Still wanting to kill my husband, I suppose?
Something tells me that the recent war isn't the only reason that Hera is drunk, sadly.
You know I seek revenge on Zeus.
Can't say that I blame you.
See?
Brother, this is not between us, Hercules.
You know, I gotta say, Herc's definitely compensating for something. See? Kratos could be a calm and reasonable person.
You were always Zeus's favorite.
The air on Olympus affects your thinking.
Kratos is such a badass, not backing up a lick.
Ha! Perhaps he did allow me.
They got Kevin Sorbo for Hercules, which is so cool because he played Herc in Hercules: The Legendary Journeys.
This time I will destroy you. Call it my 13th and final labor.
13 is an unlucky number, Herc. I know Kratos has taken on Hades and Titans, but there's something special about him squaring off with a jacked human like her. Being so much smaller and still whooping ass is a sight to see. The second Kratos hits the stone, his theme starts playing. Since Kratos is actually the boss in all these fights, this is his boss theme.
Cestus use their strength to make the very earth tremble.
Hands down, the best God of War weapon, just purely on the merit of its power and finally letting Kratos just punch people all the time.
Lord Kratos! Do not leave me!
Kratos equally makes everyone around him suffer? Maybe? Ah, whatever. I guess in the finality of things, even the sex minigames have to be in a grander scale. Aphrodite being the goddess of love and beauty and all. Huh, look, there's the white tendrils of hope being placed inside. You know, maybe I was too harsh on God of War 4's puzzles. The ones here are no portal for sure, but just another good way to break up combat.
The murderer of Gaia enters my tomb.
Kronos!
Oh shit, it's Grandpappy Kronos. Who saw this coming?
I know it was you who killed her, Spartan. Who else could?
The hubris of the Titans are wonderfully on full display at all times. Who else could? I don't know. You lost the first war to the gods, and the second one's not going great. Talk about a paper cut. Fighting Kronos is the reason we love God of War. These giant spectacle fights will never get old. This was a marvel when I first saw it on the PS3. And still today holds a sense of scale not even God of War 4 rivals. I know the point of each game is very different.
Mortal! You will suffer when my sight returns!
If the decapitated head of a god dangling on Kratos' belt can blind you, what makes you think you have a chance to get 10? The gore with Kronos was dialed up to 11 for whatever reason.
I will make you into a bloody stain.
I don't know why Vin Diesel thinks he can take on Kratos. Nothing is working. Not brutal, just gross. Kronos needs to get a checkup. Now that's brutal. And the worst model for anatomy possible ever, if you feel me. You guys know when you get a chip stuck in your throat? This is probably what it feels like for Kronos. And let us not forget to mention the hubris of the gods too, thinking that they can take on Kratos. Speaking of Portal.
Strength may have bested Hercules, but your simple mind will never find a way out.
If I'm not mistaken, Spartans weren't only just the strongest military at the time, but also some of the brightest minds, no? Huh, making us use your environment. The lining up of all the pathways through perspective is neat. We're not gonna find the rock down here, are we? Oh, I was right. Talk about a root canal. Acupuncture practitioners be like, this shot always stands out to me every time I see it. The Labyrinth is an awesome final stretch before facing off against Zeus. A fun mix of puzzling, platforming, and ridiculously hard combat encounters.
He told me if I did, he would hurt you the way he hurt my father.
He won't.
He told me he would kill you.
He can't.
A trap that would make Jigsaw proud.
Hope is what makes us strong. It is why we are here. It is what we fight with when all else is lost.
A little late to be throwing this theme into the game, but the final hour of the game really does make up for it. I like to imagine they were so focused on the new tech and making a spectacle of a conclusion to their franchise that this theme got a little lost. Which is completely understandable and doesn't diminish from the awesome game we got, but a reminder that we can only do so much in the time we have. I thought this was the callback to God of War 1, but like Bane said,
That comes later.
Pandora! Pandora!
it's lovely every time we see the softer side of Kratos. I can only imagine how sweet he was to Calliope.
In the darkness, the fires of hope will set us free.
Pandora, no!
You know why I'm here.
I really enjoy Kratos' desire to save Pandora. I wish she was in the game sooner to develop this relationship more. But with Kratos latching onto her so quickly just shows how much he misses his little girl. Zeus changes threads to face off against Kratos, and my favorite part about this change is his fleece is on the opposite arm as Kratos.
This has nothing to do with her! It has everything to do with her! Put her down!
Kratos has been angry and rage-filled before, but this anger we get from him here is so much more potent. The facial animations, the camera work, and T.C. Carson make this the best Kratos has ever been to this point. Who saw a 2D fight coming from one of the phases of the Zeus boss battle? I sure as hell didn't. This got to have something to do with Santa Monica being inspired by his addition to MK9. I think it's great. And what happened to regular consumer games having tough boss fights? Even on normal, Zeus can prove a tough as nails challenge. Nowadays, normal difficulty is just the new easy. And to get a challenge from the normal difficulty, we gotta go play games like Dark Souls and Neo. My point is, God of War was accessible and challenged us, even on the most popular difficulty levels, and that's a good thing.
Surrender to me and test
God damn does the score go so hard during this final fight. Having just the brass take the sole lead is awesome. It's a testament to these last two combatants left, the most powerful men in the world duking it out for the last time. And also, there are 5 composers on God of War 3. Stig Asmussen wanted to have all these different styles come together to create something truly special. This is something you never see in a film because of the way films are structured. They allow this huge collaboration between creators, and I think of the trilogy, the score here is the best. Legolas from Battle of the Five Armies would like to see you. An unbiased camera as something large comes into frame will always be one of my favorite things to see. And look, Gaia's alive and regrowing her hand. How fitting that at the end of all things, these two are fighting in the heart of, basically, Mother Earth. And then kill her. You've already tried that move before. Kratos is a warrior who learns. Revenge callback. So I'm not exactly sure what to make of Phantom Zeus, but I think since he's got the same colors going on as Fear Kratos, that Zeus is dead physically, and now Kratos has got to fight him emotionally and mentally.
Abandon me. Now there is.
Now there is hope, because they are gone. And also, real exact callback to God of War 1, obviously. So this is Kratos, of course, confronting all the wrong he has done and having to try to come to terms with it. There's talk of forgiving oneself and not perpetuating the cycle of violence. But the big revelation that I think Kratos sees here is all the pain and suffering stemmed from gods and titans. It wasn't the hope that Pandora instilled in him, but the realization that mortals live truer lives that makes him sacrifice himself at the end. So you can just keep punching again and again and again, and the game won't move on until you stop. I think that's awesome. Kratos can't move on until he drops the hatred and realizes the one thing he needs to do. And it's so cool that we, the players, have to go on that journey and realize it too.
Locked deep inside of you, Kratos, is hope.
And this isn't the end-all be-all reason Kratos changed so much in God of War 4. The hope was always in him even before he opened the box. So when he releases it to Greece, it doesn't matter. The father we see in Kratos in God of War 4 was the one that was always there at the core. But that got clouded with his vengeance and rage.
What was it, Kratos?
Hope is what makes us strong. It is why we are here.
All I remember is what I have lost.
Playing through this gets me so excited to play Ragnarok. The one thing that could bring Kratos back with his love for the innocent and hopeful. Seeing him lose control again is going to be amazing. Every single God of War game has had a different director. Corey came back for 4, which is dope. But I think this is mind-blowing because we've seen games have the same director and have their sequels fall short of their predecessor. But God of War is able to keep a high level of consistency with the characters and story that it feels like one big well-designed narrative.
My vengeance ends now.
Even though he killed Zeus, he can't forgive and live with himself for what he's done. He's the final god that must be killed. Talk about a tragic character.
That was meant for me! They will not know what to do with it!
A quick little line and we learn that Greece is going to be alright.
You disappoint me, Spartan.
One last little fuck you to the last person in the world that broke his trust. Hey, we gotta keep it open just in case for a sequel. And thank God they did. God of War is one of my favorite gaming franchises ever. What are your thoughts on God of War? Do you like the OGs or the reboots more? Let me know down below, and don't forget, drink water, drive the speed limit, and love one another. Pizza.